Welcome to the Jenna Banks Show. I am Jenna, your host, and I am all about helping you live life to your fullest potential. Oh, if you haven't already subscribed to the show, please hit that subscribe button now. I have so much to share with you in this show, as well into the future, about how we can truly live our lives fully empowered, living to our very fullest potential. And you are not going to want to miss any of it. I promise you that. You will always walk away with some type of new information and new knowledge that you can carry forward in your life to help positively affect you. That really is my goal. My guest today is Morgan Whiter, and I've really come to love and respect her so much. She is not only an amazing stylist, but she's also just an awesome, cool chick. And she is the author of this incredible book called The Worthy Wardrobe. And, I'm all about self-love, and you might not see the connection between having a great wardrobe and self-love, but I promise you there's a big one. And you're going to find out today in this show with Morgan. A little bit about Morgan Whiter. As a wardrobe stylist and speaker, Morgan advises executives, entrepreneurs, and college students on how to build wardrobes that convey confidence and competence. Morgan has worked with companies such as Google, Walmart, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche to highlight how an improved image increases performance. Before launching her business, Morgan spent 10 years working at the corporate headquarters of Gap, Old Navy, Banana Republic, and Carter's. She grew several businesses with her knowledge of merchandising, apparel production, pricing strategy, and international development. She's also the author of the best-selling book, The Worthy Wardrobe, Your Guide to Style, Shopping, and Soul. By sharing her knowledge about the retail industry and her passion for fashion, Morgan helps her clients feel more powerful in all areas of their lives. Morgan, it's such a pleasure to have you here and to have this conversation with me today. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Jenna. I am so excited to connect with you and do this on TV.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like looking at your situation there, your setup. I see jewelry. Where are you?
I am in my favorite room in my house, which is my closet. So
That makes sense.
these are my clothes. There's my jewelry, my favorite candle. And I have a cute comfy chair and I come and hang out and I record everything in here.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You know what? It's like it's already padded, right? You've got your clothing around, so it's like the soundproofing.
It's the perfect sound place. It is absolutely.
It makes so much sense. I love
And
it.
it's on brand. And it's on brand.
That's on brand. I thought you did that intentionally, honestly. But then when you mentioned it actually makes sense with the padding, I was like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I am so excited to have this conversation with you today because, when I first got to know you, I knew you were a wardrobe stylist and all that. And I was like, cool, we're going to have a conversation about wardrobe, which I love. I think it's really important to care about your style in a way that reflects who you are and all that. But I always thought it as like this external thing. I really didn't combine it with the internal, other than maybe being a reflection of how you feel inside, right? Like some of us feel fun and funky and we like our wardrobe to reflect that, or some of us are a little more conservative and so we wear more conservative clothes. And that's really the depth of what I thought a wardrobe was.
Mm-hmm.
And then I read your book.
Hey.
The Worthy Wardrobe. First off, let me just say the title, so good. It just gets so deep, like right away. Like, Worthy Wardrobe. What does that mean? So I would love to just learn a little bit more from you. What is the Worthy Wardrobe?
The Worthy Wardrobe for me starts from spending most of my life not feeling like I was worthy of being seen or not wanting to be seen. So I was using clothes to hide the fact that I was the curviest, biggest girl in elementary school, junior high, high school, and college, the only female on an all men's team when I worked in corporate America. I often felt like my intelligence or my smarts was what deserved attention and not me as a woman, not my femininity, not my looks. And I didn't realize that all of me, including my intelligence, but also how I look and my body, deserve attention, and clothes are the way to use that in the right way. And so I've had to go through my own journey of knowing that I'm worthy of success, of worthy of attention, of worthy of walking and owning in my femininity. But also there's a chapter in the book dedicated to sexiness, because that's something that a lot of women, we feel about, and I do too. So that, for me, all roads go back to, I have to know and stand in my power and know that I'm worthy of all good things. And that also includes having a closet of clothes that you love.
Oh, I love that so much. I love that so much. In fact, I had dog-eared and highlighted a part that you mentioned. You said in your author's note in the very beginning, you say, turns out I was writing my healing into existence.
Mhm.
And
It
part
was.
of sometimes when we're going through these speaking engagements, we're writing our script and understanding what we're going to speak about, and same thing with our books. A lot of times it's because we're going through the journey ourselves, I've found.
Absolutely.
And it's important, right, that you're also going through the journey or have been through the journey, because how else are you going to help others who are also going on their
Right.
journey?
There's my favorite quote is, the teacher is always the student first. And
Yeah.
so for me, I think the reason that I'm able to connect with my passion is unapologetically women. And it's women that are everyday women like me. I intentionally don't work with celebrities or movie stars, or I very rarely work with men. And I think that is because when I'm in a woman's closet, which is one of their most intimate spaces, I want to be able to connect and tell you that I've been there. Like, I've had the massive weight gain, weight loss, the depression, the job I hate, the boyfriend that was abusive, and all of those emotions collide in my closet. And I'm here to help you go through that hell and come out of it, purge your closet, but also help you with that emotional stuff that comes out of there.
It makes so much sense. Yes, often our closets are a reflection of what's happening in our
Oof,
lives and also our battles, right? Sometimes it's
totally.
with emotional baggage, weight gain, not feeling worthy. This is my dress when I just want to hide or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. There was a moment for me. So part of my story is, I had been living in New York, living the Sex and the City life, had fallen in love with a man who lived here in Atlanta. And at this, right at the same 2 weeks that he and I had met and had this instant love affair, I was still living in New York. A job recruited me to come to Atlanta. So I made this very fast move to Atlanta, moved in with him very soon. And the job that I got to here in Atlanta was not the job that I've been promised. And surprise, surprise, the guy that I fell in love with wasn't really the same guy. And so every time when I walked into our closet, I had clothes from my New York life. And at this point, I was so depressed. I've been gaining all this weight. I wasn't ready to let go of that life of the Sex in the City life that I was
Right.
living. And I would walk into my closet feeling guilty and ashamed and mad at myself, like, what did I leave behind for this pit of despair that I'm in? So yeah, like, I have stories for days of other clients, but for me, that's when I knew I had to make a decision of accepting the life that I was living right now. And that then told me I need to go shop for the body and the life that I'm living right now.
You know what? It's so interesting that you mentioned the body thing, because it can, if our closet has, for example, a bunch of sizes that are too small for us,
Mm-hmm.
that could probably trigger like guilt and shame and
Totally.
feelings of unworthiness. I'm not, just reminders of what we had. Yeah. How do you feel about that? Like, because as women, we go through changes, right? Our bodies go through changes as we get older. Our hormones make us gain weight.
Mm-hmm.
I've personally gone through that, where I suddenly put on 5 pounds and couldn't shake it. And I'm like, what is going on? Come to find out, like, as your hormones change, that's just what happens. And do we then beat ourselves up and force ourselves to try and go back to this wardrobe, or what?
Absolutely. It's our bodies as human beings are supposed to change, right? Like, our cells are changing over every single day. And I know that sounds like very woo or mythical, or even too scientific to think about in your closet, but I will go back to this story of a client who, incredibly successful real estate agent. I had actually known her in high school.
Mm.
And when I went into her closet, there was a lot of still clothes from high school that she had that didn't fit
I
after
know
her
people
post.
like that. Yes.
Right, and she had 2 babies, I mean, her kids were, like, preteens, teenagers, and she kept beating herself and said, "I'm gonna fit into those one day." And I said to her, "Dude, the woman that you are now, who's birthed 2 children, who's built this incredible real estate business, why are you giving a fuck about jeans from specific Sun from 2002. And I tell people, should you ever get back to that same size of like, if you are
Yeah.
an 8 and now want to fit into your size 2 jeans, the work that you did to get to that level of discipline to become the size 2 makes you a different person. And that different person shouldn't want to wear 20-year-old jeans and actually deserves new
Yeah.
jeans, right? Like we're holding on to these ideas of what used to be, and A, not honoring the woman that we are right now, but B, foreboding ourselves the joy of treating ourselves for becoming the women that we want to be by doing the work.
Yeah, I love that. It's almost like our wardrobe should evolve with us
It
because
absolutely needs to.
it has to,
It
right?
has
Like
to.
we change, our bodies change, our perspective on life changes, trends change. Like I'm constantly staying up to date with what's happening today. I knew people in my past who I was like, wow, you are still living in the 80s, hun. Like, because that was their heyday. That was their,
That
you know,
was what they thought was the best of their life, but then so you're just gonna live looking in the rearview mirror your entire life?
exactly. Yeah,
No,
that's a
and it's
really
not about shopping all of the time, right? And it doesn't mean that you have
yeah.
to keep up with the latest and greatest trends, um, all of the time. No, but it's also about being aware of the fact that life evolves and life changes. I have a couple of different style profile types, and you mentioned like the conservative. If you're conservative, a lot of times those are the women that say, "Oh, well, this never goes out of style." Yeah, a pair of black pumps don't go out of style per se, but the shape, the heel, the
Mhm.
quality of the leather, that shit can tell me how old
Mhm.
something is. And do you really want to be walking around obviously wearing 20-year-old pairs of shoes? No. Why?
It's true. And also, okay, going back to this idea of being worthy,
Hmm.
I find that when I invest in myself, whether it's a wardrobe or in education or photography, because I need professional shots for what I
Yep.
do, that reflects also your self-worth, right? Like if you feel worthy, it's an investment in you. And when you
Mhm.
invest in yourself, I find it builds my self-confidence. It
I just read
builds
that in part of your book. I have that page flagged when you talked about
Ah,
investing in
I
yourself.
love how we
Yes.
have each other's books, like, in front of
Yes.
us.
I literally have the blue. I was like, I love that line. What page is this?
Wait, so what
107
did
when
I
you talk about 107, 108, where you talk about investing in yourself and how
Yeah,
it changes how you feel.
it really
Absolutely.
does, right? And I'm sure you see this all the time, like, you help people transform how they feel through their wardrobe once they realize they are worth it, right?
There's one story, I'll never forget. A woman who, she had hired me to help her get clothes for a new job. She had been laid off and was interviewing for new jobs. And I come to her home, and her husband, who was a basketball coach, he had taken over the entire master bedroom because with all of his master bedroom closet, all of his sneakers, and gym wear, like he was getting, companies would send him shoes. And so she
Sure.
was sharing a bedroom with their 9-year-old daughter, and then the 11-year-old son had his closet full of shoes and sneakers or whatever. So I go into red flag number one right there, right? And then I go into the daughter's room where we're doing our work with her closet, and she had barely bought anything new for herself. Her daughter had new clothes from Justice and the Limited Two thrown about the
Yeah.
floor, and she was getting hand-me-downs for her mom or things from Target. And again, her husband had brand new sneakers and all of these things. And we went shopping together, and I guess her some amazing deals, if I should say so myself, like a whole new wardrobe for less than $1,000.
Wow.
Right. And she was texting me, and she said, "Morgan, you have no idea how sometimes I'm up in the middle of the night feeling guilty and thinking how this money could go towards my kids. But then on the flip side, I think about how good self-respect feels, and people are
Mm.
looking at me and seeing the difference, and they are treating me differently." And so once she got over that guilt and saw the immediate difference that it had of how she's standing taller, how people are looking her in the eye because she's no longer having her head down, ashamed of how she wore, it was a game changer for her. And so, yes, the investing in yourself is, you have to love you more than anybody else. And I also said it's not just about how you're treating you, but how your daughter is observing how you treat yourself, and how your son is observing how a man is supposed to treat a woman, or what a woman expects out of a relationship. Like how you treat yourself is bigger than you. It
It's
really,
so much
really is.
bigger than you. I say this all the time. Like, it's also about what we're reflecting to our daughters because this gets passed on to us. And I'm sure she learned that from her mother. It's an unconscious thing that we just kind of like we pick up when we're kids. They
Yep.
say we learn the majority of our beliefs about the world around us by the time we're age 7.
Is that really it? 7?
7. And so I'm sure she picked it up unconsciously by the
Absolutely.
time, and then she just carried on like, this is how it is. This is how a woman behaves. And then we pass it on to our daughters and it keeps getting passed on. And then that guilt kicks in.
Mhm.
And another thing I've found out is that guilt is not necessarily an indication that you're doing something wrong. We think this is like, oh my God, we're doing something wrong. We're being selfish. We're being whatever. We should give to everybody else. But guilt usually is an indication that you're actually breaking a pattern, a behavioral pattern.
Ooh.
So anyone
So, like,
listening,
so when you talked about, like, in your book, it's like saying yes to you, which requires saying no to someone else. The guilt of saying yes is because it's a new habit and you're not used to saying yes versus
yeah, yeah. So what will
ooh,
happen is we might go, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to try and show myself more love. And then we'll feel guilty. Oh, but I might be hurting someone's feelings or not doing this for so-and-so that they're used to having me do or whatever. And then the guilt kicks in and we just go back to what we did before because it's just,
we
that's
let
what
that
we're.
temporary feeling impact our long-term success.
Yeah, so it's these uncomfortable feelings that tend to like fear, right? Fear prevents us
Mhm.
from taking risks and we don't want to feel that discomfort. So we just play it safe. It's the same thing with guilt. We don't want to
Same
feel that
thing.
uncomfortable feeling. And so we let it keep driving us back into our lanes. But anyone listening right now, if you feel like maybe you're a mom and you might feel guilty, just like the woman that Morgan was talking about, she was feeling guilty about spending the money on herself. But look at the change and the positive impact it'll actually
Mhm.
have not only on her but also on her kids, the boys and the girls, because the girls learn how to show themselves respect, how they get respect
Absolutely.
when they show themselves respect. And as you mentioned, I love that you mentioned that it's showing the son as well, like how women should be. Women should
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
great about themselves. They should feel in their
Absolutely.
power,
You
right?
should share your closet with your wife.
Yeah.
I don't know though, because like I'm single right now, and if when God sends me a man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to share my closet with someone.
I wondered the same thing. My closet is chock full. I like it's not a huge closet, I'll tell you that. I don't feel like my wardrobe's out of control. But how in the heck are we supposed to they don't build closets big enough, I
They
think, for
don't build
couples.
closets like they used to. I do want to go back to one thing if we're talking to moms, and the example that you set for your daughters is also be very aware of how you talk about your body
Oh,
in
yes,
your
please.
head, but also
Yes.
aloud. I grew up with a mother who for some reason hated her neck. And to this, I have had to unpack for me what's wrong with our neck. There's nothing
Mm,
wrong with it. She just hated it. So I always felt like I had to wear a turtleneck. And that's something small, but a lot of our daughters are listening to how we talk about our own bodies, because if we hate our curly hair or think that our butts are too big or think that our necks are too bony, they start looking at themselves and thinking the same thing or want to emulate some way, shape, or form how their mothers look.
mm.
If they are, and there's nothing wrong with modifying your body or your hair, whatever you want to
Sure,
do,
yeah.
just being aware of the reasons behind it and the way that you're talking about it.
Ah, it's so true. I've talked to other women who say the same thing, how the way their mothers talked about their body absolutely affected how they went on in life as well. So absolutely, it's more than just us. Actually, you haven't got, I don't think you've gotten there yet. I think it's later in the book, but I talk about just that where how we tend to not this is a subconscious thing, right? So your neck thing was probably unconscious to
Mm-hmm.
you because it was passed on to you from your mother, and since
Yep.
you were little you picked up on that and you're like, okay, I should feel self-conscious about my neck. um and I noticed that as women we also just talk negatively about our bodies in general. We find reasons to put ourselves down. So, for example, the weight gain issue. Let's say you
Mm-hmm.
gain, let's say you looking at your body back in high school and you're like,
Or
oh, I've
COVID.
gained,
Or COVID.
what
Or
are
COVID.
COVID,
Yep. COVID
and
pounds.
you're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I've gained weight. And then you start dogging on yourself, right? Ragging on yourself. And then just think about how, like, I don't know, like I know somebody, for example, who was constantly, every time I see her, she's ragging on her body. It's like a constant dialogue that when you're thinking certain things in your head, sometimes it also
It
comes
comes
out.
out.
And I'm just thinking, oh my God, I'm so sad for her. Like she keeps ragging on her body. That's just how horrible. Like we're treating ourselves that way. And then I was like, Oh my God, I do the same thing.
Mhm.
I
One of
do the
my
same.
favorite, other stylists, one of my mentors, Cam Throckmorton, she is a plus size she specializes in plus size women. She does everybody, but that is her niche. And one of her favorite lines that she tells clients who are getting on their bodies is, "Your insecurities don't make you special, boo. Like, we all have them." And so,
Mm,
like, you bragging on your body or how much you hate this is nothing unique, right? Like, that what good does that do?
what
And
good does
it's
it do?
and no, and honestly, like, nobody wants to hear that shit either.
That's
Like, when
true.
we're at brunch eating pancakes, if I choose to eat pancakes, I don't wanna hear about how you hate your body, because then I might be second guessing my pancake choice, or my pancakes aren't gonna taste as good, right?
That's
Like, no
true.
one wants to hear.
That's true. That's so true. I mean,
Like, A, get rid of the thoughts, but B, if you have them, like, I don't want you to keep them to yourself, but, like, it doesn't do us any good. It
mm,
honest to God doesn't do you any, it doesn't make you feel motivated to change,
mhm,
nor
mhm.
does it if you're just complaining at the outside world. If we try to help you, you usually don't want the help. So it's like, what are we doing here? What are we
It's
doing?
true. And if you think about all the negative energy you're sending your body, it's the opposite of self-love, right? You're saying, I don't accept me, I'm rejecting me, I don't
Absolutely.
like me, I'm not acceptable. And that is the opposite of the energy we should be sending ourselves. If we want to lift ourselves up and make ourselves feel better, we should be saying things like, even if that's all you can find, look at your fingernails
Mhm,
or your hand. Find
mhm.
something you like about yourself, and be like, I love my hands. If that's all you can find at that moment, just but it shifts the energy from
Totally.
negative to positive, right?
Yes, I have a workshop called Body Love that I do with groups of women, and one of the exercises I have you, and I'll, if you're at home, look in the mirror, stand naked in front of the mirror, which A is one thing big for women, some women, and B, whatever body part that you don't love the most, hone in on it, hone in the eyes, and say, ask your body to forgive you for treat like, body, please forgive me for doing what. So, like, if it's my tummy, please forgive me for ragging on you, talking whatever about you. And B, I appreciate you for X. And I've had women say things like, thank you for my babies, or my tummy's an indication of fun times and meals with my girlfriends. Like, shifting that perspective of, A, you're alive, which a lot of people in the middle of a pandemic can't say.
Yeah.
And two, honor those parts of your body. Like, I don't love my boobs, but there's push-up bras for that, right? And I thank them for being here and being cancer free.
Right.
Like, those are the things that we have to think about.
I
Yeah.
love that. I never really even thought of it that way, but that's so
Hmm.
true. Yeah, just
Hmm.
shifting that energy, shifting that perspective. This is stuff we do unconsciously. It's this running dialogue, and we think it's actually probably a good thing to play small and to rag on ourselves. Somehow we made that okay and acceptable, but we need to be shining a spotlight on this and saying, is this really how I want to be treating myself? Do I
No.
want to bring myself down? Do I want to bring my energy down? Do I
When
want
I
to
was in those lowest moments living with that guy and depressed at this in the job that I was in, I had all of those running negative thoughts, and when you believe those things, you start to attract people who believe the same things about you, which is what
Yes.
I'm sure the guy, my ex, was a wonderful person. He was a wonderful person before I got into that level of depression, but he had to mirror back to me, it's the laws of the universe, what I was thinking. So, like, no fault to him, but some, like, all of my world, I kept noticing everyone else pointing out my insecurities because I was obsessed with my insecurities. I think you talk about in the book, like Deepak Chopra's quote of, like, you get more of what you focus on, and that
Yeah.
and that just keeps on happening.
Yeah, you get
Yeah,
more of what you focus on.
you get more of
Exactly.
what you focus on.
So do you want to be focusing on your insecurities and then have people in your life that are going to help bring those out?
Mhm.
Or do you want to build yourself up and have people around you that build you up too? It's a conscious
It's a
decision.
conscious decision.
But you have to make it conscious. And unfortunately, a lot of that is made unconsciously
Absolutely.
because we've learned it from our
Mhm.
parents or whatever. So I loved this quote in your book. You said it's on page 19. It's a process of first forgetting who we created ourselves to be in order to remember who we were meant to be.
Mhm. Mhm.
Ah, I love that so much.
Mhm.
I love that so much. And that was in context of, you mentioned about crafting and molding ourselves, And we create this version of ourselves that we really want to set out in the world as who we are. And that might be what a combination of what our parents taught us,
Mhm.
what we picked up from other people around us, and then we go, oh, this so and so likes these types of things, and so I should be this, and black always looks good on people, so I should,
Mhm.
like all these
Or this is what
things.
being professional means, or now that I'm a mother this, or I'm too big to wear this. There's all, and like you said, there's so much in our subconscious that we 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 carry with us that we are not aware of, and it starts molding every decision that we make unconsciously until we step out and think about, do I even like wearing all black? Like all of these simple questions that I hope women start to answer for themselves.
And so how do you get women to tune into understanding who they really are, and what kind of a wardrobe would reflect that? Like anyone listening right now, like what if they find themselves in that position and they're like, yeah, this wardrobe doesn't really reflect me. Like, how do you begin?
It's there's so many ways I can answer that question, Jenna. The first way is, I need you to be honest with yourself. And so I want you to walk into your closet and go item by item, like take a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning or a time that you have a good hour, 2 hours, depending on your closet, and really look at each item and say, does this item honor who I am right now? And by who I am right now, that includes my lifestyle. Am I holding on to suits when I no longer am in a business casual environment, or I'm not even going to an office? Does it honor my lifestyle? Does it honor my body? By honor, mean, does it not only just fit me, but does it make me feel good? I talk about fit versus flattering. Those two things are different. Does it honor me by, like, I like it, or is it something I'm just holding on to because my mother passed it down? Like, those are the things that I really want you to get honest about. Is, if you don't feel good in it, for example, for me, I'm on a new weight loss journey. To be motivated to make more changes, I purged all of the black worn out yoga or workout leggings that I had, because I didn't feel good putting them on. Like, I bought oranges and yellows and reds because that honors the size that I am and I feel good. Like, so honesty with yourself about your lifestyle, your body type, and what you like is the first step. And it can be brutally honest. And I think that that's the thing that we can often like wash over. Oh, but this t-shirt's from my marathon, or, oh, you don't really like it. You don't feel good, right? That's the first step. Second step, and you mentioned this in your book, of like investing in help and getting a stylist. I have a personality quiz that many stylists have different ways of assessing people, but I have a personality quiz that I give all of my clients of, what is your personality? What's authentic to you? And then who's your audience and what do they need from you? And your audience could be, if you're going into an office, or your corporate clients, or your family. Let's talk about those things. Become aware of what your style profile is, and let's be ruthless and only buy or keep things that match who we are and the message we're trying to communicate. Because in addition to clothes making you feel good, they also send a message of how we want to be perceived by others. And I want to make sure that that is in alignment of like who I am and how people see me.
Oh, yeah, that's really good. Yeah, for me, it was it was a whole journey of figuring out my own style. I
Mhm.
found that, I mean, I used to wear stuff that was way too big for me.
Same.
And it wasn't until a professional told me, I hadn't hired someone. I think I just went into the right boutique at the time, which is another way you can get some help
Totally.
too if you need
Yep.
it. Is sometimes people can see things that we can't see.
But don't ask a friend or a husband or anyone who knows you well, because
Right.
they have a vested interest in possibly keeping you the same, or pushing you. They sometimes, as a stylist, or even if you get to a good boutique, they have no underlying motive. Well,
Right.
sometimes
To sell
boutique
you some
to sell
products,
you things.
maybe.
Like for me,
Yeah.
like, you pay me for my service and my honesty. Like, I don't get any cut with whatever you decide. But a lot of friends, people will go with their like girlfriend, and that girlfriend A has her own sense of style, but she may sometimes your girlfriends may not want you to be different, because that can change how their dynamic is, right? Like,
Yeah.
when you have girlfriends who you rather go eat, who usually you eat and drink with, instead of go walking with, there's
Yeah.
there you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yes,
Yeah.
someone can help you see differently, but just be very aware that you're not succumbing to someone else's expectations or opinions of you. Like, my job as a stylist is to help you feel good and show you options, but
Yeah.
you have to say yay or nay because you're the one that has to wear them every day.
That is such a good point. That's why I like going to places where the salespeople are not commissioned,
Mhm.
because they
Mhm.
have no incentive
There's no
to,
incentive.
yeah, to talk you into something that's not going to be good for you.
Totally.
But it was probably one of those people who helped me realize that fitted is better for me. I used to hide under the two sizes too big for me, and I noticed that in your book too. You
Mhm.
used to do that, but you were like, was it you or one of your clients who was
It was
hiding?
me,
It was
and it
you.
was me. I was yeah, always
Yeah,
big and baggy for me. And fitted
yeah.
is good for everybody.
Everyone, right?
Like, every body and every body type. You don't need extra fabric because it's gonna make you look bigger. Like, no matter what, if you're a size
Yeah.
22, 28, 32, honor your body with clothes that fit your shape because extra fabric, we know what's underneath there. Like,
Mm.
just
You're not hiding
you're
anything.
not hiding. You're adding more bulk to you that you don't need.
That's a good point. It's a really good point. You're adding more bulk that you really don't need. And I never really saw it that way. I was
Mm-mm.
hiding myself. I always thought I was big, I was bigger breasted. Now I've had a couple of breast reductions. So because it bothered me a lot. And I've been, that was part of why I wore the baggy
Mhm.
clothes, because I didn't want to bring attention to my chest.
Right.
But as a result, it was just making me look huge and frumpy.
And then you didn't feel
And
good.
and then I didn't feel good. So when this stylist had me wear more stuff that was more fitted, I was like, I'm a size what? Like what? And then I did feel better about what I was wearing, and I realized that I do need a more fitted look, and I
Mhm.
feel better in that. It's not about what
Mhm.
other people like. Other people can introduce you to
Right.
what might look good on you, but ultimately you have to feel good in it too, right?
Trust your gut. Like, as women, we've been blessed with intuition, and you know when something's off, right? You know when you're putting on the same baggy, awful black pants, or for me, what I call my moo was these long gray cardigans. I know I wasn't feeling good. I
Yeah.
just ignored that feeling and thought that it was normal, but, like, truly, truly trust your gut. And I wanna say one thing, Jen, I gotta get on the
Say
subject
whatever
because
you
you
want,
mentioned
Morgan.
about your boobs.
Mm.
It fitted for bras, ladies. One of the ways that I know how a woman thinks about herself and how she invests in herself is when I see her lingerie drawer. If your
Mhm.
bras are old, raggy, not supportive, if you have dents in your shoulders, that tells me that you don't think you are deserving of support, right? Your bra sits on your heart chakra. If you are not honoring your heart and
Mm.
your most one of your most sacred feminine body parts, no matter if you've had cancer or whatever it is, you're the closest thing to your body are your bras and your undergarments. Honor those, and really invest in things that fit you. And I learned this from shout out to my favorite bra store in Atlanta, Livy Ray. I'm such a regular there. I hang out with them, and I learned that the wrong fitting bra, if it's too tight underneath your armpit, that underwire, or even if it's not underwire, but that fabric starts rubbing, your body starts to build those mass of cells to protect it from the rubbing every day. And
Mhm.
oh, guess that's what? That's a fucking lump, right? So, like,
Oh.
because your body's
Oh.
trying to protect itself. And so, yes, it may not be cancerous, but you're feeling like you're so again,
Yeah.
this is not just about, oh, I want my clothes to look good. You're protecting your body and honoring your body by getting
Mm.
clothes that fit.
Yeah, and even like it's interesting you mentioned the bra, because that used to be an issue for me too. I would go to the same Victoria's Secret. Okay, I
Hmm.
just go there and get my
Hmm.
bras there. But the size I thought I was would just create this, I don't know, the boob doing something
Yeah.
funny.
Yep.
And then so I would try to hide that with the baggy shirts. And
Mhm.
yeah, you're right. Like if I just got a
If
good
you just
fitting
got the
bra.
right fitted got fitted for that, and I won't even tell you my thoughts about that brand that doesn't believe in real
Yeah.
women. Go to a grown real woman store,
A grown-up women's
grown real
store.
women store that honors real women bodies, and it's a
Yeah.
game changer, and no matter where, at least, and I just encourage women, there's some really great online boutiques and places to get bras. I just want you to go to a Nordstrom's, a Soma, a Livy Ray if you live in Atlanta, get your right size, and then you can shop at, I mean, I've gotten, once I know my right size, I've gotten bras from Ross, TJ Maxx, like wherever. Just know what your size is so that you're not hurting. Like, it's like love and relationships. If it hurts you, if you have red marks, that's not normal. That's not what your bra's
That's a
supposed to
good
do.
point. Yeah.
You yeah, it really is.
If your bra is abusing you, you might want to rethink that
I have a whole chapter
relationship.
dedicated to bras and undergarments, and
I
I
saw
think
that.
two actually, because I'm so passionate about that aspect of I come from a mother who always got on me about my underwear, so I think I learned that from her, and now in my old age, I appreciate it.
Oh, so, and
Mhm,
again, the book is The Worthy Wardrobe, y'all. If you're tuning in the middle, I just want you to know it's The
mhm,
Worthy Wardrobe. Morgan Wider is her name, and she goes into just so much more detail about why you're worthy of a fabulous wardrobe and talks about things like bras. I mean, whoever thought that, bra, which is underneath you, would affect your actual wardrobe, but it's such an
mhm.
important part. She even goes into a couple chapters in it in her book. So, Morgan, so tell us a little bit more because I want people to understand a little bit more about what you do with not just individuals, but in corporate. Like, what does that look like when you go into corporate? Are you also working with men and women in corporate?
I am. I'm working with men and women. My job when I go into corporate spaces and give workshops and coach groups is to get people aware of authenticity and the power of authenticity and how your wardrobe can reflect that. I think all of us or many of us, not this youngest generation because they are so badass and they do whatever they want to
Oh,
do,
I
but a
love
lot of
that.
us, right, a lot of us that were taught, in order to be professional, you had to wear a black suit. You had to, a lot of women were taught you have to wear like suits as in that emulate men.
Right.
Women of
Right.
color, even any woman sometimes thought professional meant straightening your hair. All of these things that we've been taught to whitewash ourselves. I think ultimately professionalism in the United States was coined or modeled after how close can you be to a white man.
Man,
How, yep, how
exactly.
masculine, how not ethnic can you be? And so in my workshops, I give the personality quiz and we talk about how can you show up authentically appropriate? What works for you and your wardrobe and your image and your communication style, but also matches your audience. And I've had some incredible stories of men. Most recently, there was a older man in a workshop, an HR summit that I worked with HR reps, and this older man started coming to tears, and he shared that his personality type on the quiz was what we call the romantic, and he was this nice, really kind guy, but he had spent 20 years prior to his HR career in the military as a Marine, and he felt like he had to hide that from people because he didn't want the assumption of like, oh, he's a Marine, he's gonna be a hard ass or he's very, very that. And he's like, and that's not me at all. And I felt so guilty. He said, hiding my service to this country because people make assumptions about me. And the way that I dress, I know like I want to find a way to let people know that I'm a safe space. So it's just been fascinating the things that again people carry with them and
Yeah.
how we don't know other people's stories, but we make a lot of assumptions on how they look.
Yeah, so true. It's so
Uh-huh.
true. Yeah, men need help in this area, of course, as well.
They
So
do.
it's good to know that you go in and you work with men and women, and that's a pretty big part of what you do today, right?
Absolutely. Most of my business now is getting to travel and helping companies and cultures. And I love working with college students also about this stuff to break that mold of what professionalism looks like and to stop college students from buying stupid stuff.
Just for so I would love to get your take real quick on
Uh-huh.
shopping
Yeah.
because I talk about this in the book about like how in my book where in that same chapter you're out in investing. I think it's in that one, maybe it's in a different one, but how it's not when you go shopping for retail therapy reasons,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
That's not, yeah, you might get that quick hit, but if it's putting you, at the end of the day, if you're putting it on a credit card
Yep. Your
and you're going
fine
to,
finance is what you talked about, yeah. Mhm.
yeah, putting the
Mhm.
fine back in finances because if you now are going to have to suffer from the stress related to the debt that you just went into to go to that retail therapy, is that really bringing you that hit of dopamine? Is it really worth
No.
it in the end? It's not, right?
No, absolutely not. Clothes, again, are about it's a tool to honor you, and part of that is honoring your body, honoring your lifestyle, but honoring your finances, and I talk about in my book what I call intentional investing, and so it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to buy everything designer or nothing designer, but what are the intentional purchases that A, you can afford, and B, I'm sure folks have heard of, like, the highest return on your investment. So, for example, um, a pair of red bottoms, some people think they are not a great they can be, the red bottoms themselves are neutral.
Wait,
They
what are
are
red bottoms? I don't even know what that is.
Louboutins,
Oh,
Louboutin
okay,
pumps.
okay, okay.
So Louboutin pumps, or shoe, whatever, like, $800, $900, $1,200 shoes,
Yeah.
they can be seen as a great investment if they are a shoe that you're going to wear over and over again, that you're comfortable, that like you can wear. My mother loves red bottoms or Louboutins because she has a narrow foot. She wore them to the office every day. She got her money's worth. Great $1,200 purchase. However, if you are buying Louboutins or any $1,200 shoe that you can barely make it from your closet to the front door, or you're only wearing on special occasions and your feet swell and you don't like them, then that's a stupid purchase, right? Like, I want
Yeah.
you to, it's a stupid, I've had
Yeah.
so many clients, I'm like, dude, we're going to sell those. You're going to try to consign them to get some money back, but I need you to buy things that you're going to wear and honor you and your feet, and you're not in pain, to get your money's worth. Like, your clothes are supposed to work for you, not you working to pay off
Mm-hmm.
debt for a pair of shoes that you are
Mm-hmm.
not going to wear. I have a lot of
Yeah.
clothes in here, I will say this, but damn it, I wear them.
Yeah.
Like, I wear them. I wear them. If I don't, I get rid of them or I
Me
return
too.
them.
Me too.
Yeah.
I get rid of them if I don't wear them. It's just, yeah, it's silly. I used to have a ton of clothes, like maybe half my wardrobe that I didn't wear. And
Mhm.
so when I narrowed it down to what I do wear, it feels great. And then you also realize you really don't need that much,
You know.
because you find yourself wearing the same 12 outfits over and over
Mhm.
again with
And
some
there's
very,
nothing wrong with that. If you are gonna do the minimalist or the capsule wardrobe, then I want you to invest. Again, that's a smart investment, right? If you're gonna wear a black turtleneck, I've been watching Drop Out on Hulu, Elizabeth Holmes. If you're gonna wear a black turtleneck every day, buy them in cashmere, right? And then
yeah,
don't buy anything else. Like,
yeah.
those are the things that I think as women, we men are trained to invest in quality clothes. We are not as women,
Mm-mm,
and like,
mm-mm.
because we have fast fashion. Again, it's not necessarily about the price point always, but the level of investment and where and how much you're going to wear them.
Yeah, because I can find some fun, playful, trendy items at TJ Maxx. I do that all the time. And I might not wear them the next year, but I don't care because I spent
Twelve
16,
ninety
$20.
nine. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
that's fun. If you want to go get some retail therapy, go get it there and spend,
Go get it
150 bucks.
there, and I actually have some of my best workhorses are from TJ Maxx too. What I've done to make them my workhorses is alter them to fit my body too, and which is another level of
Mm.
investing, of like, you don't have to spend the money on the garment per se, but the fit of something, and again, honoring your body will make it look more expensive and look more customized. We see,
Oh.
especially in Atlanta, we see a lot of people in designer clothing that can look very cheap because it doesn't fit you and you're not wearing it well. Do not buy something just
Oh,
because it's designer. I call
that
that,
is,
yeah.
that's a really good tip. You're going to say you call that what?
I talk about it in the book. I say that can overdone designer is definitely a disease.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
see that a lot. I see all these labels, and not to be judgmental or anything, but I
No.
just wonder, like, what are you trying to, what are you
Are
hiding
you
behind?
intentionally buying this, right? Is there an
Yeah.
intention to it? And I think that's my goal with my work with everyone is I just want you to make intentional decisions about how you get dressed. I
Mhm.
want you to feel good. When you feel good, you look good, you do good. Again, there's no garment or designer or shoe is inherently good or bad. It's just whether or not it works for
For
you.
you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Works for you. I love it. Morgan, this was such a wonderful conversation. I could literally go on with you
I'm
for
having
hours.
so much fun. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I feel like we need to do a part two at some point because there's just so much we could dive into. But, if you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about Morgan and her process and her evaluation and her corporate or her individual options, which, by the way, she also does virtual styling.
Mhm.
So you could hire her to come to you wherever you are in the country, maybe even the world. Do you feel like traveling, Morgan? I don't
I
know.
absolutely do. The world is open again.
Okay. And or corporate, having her come in and doing her corporate styling class, her workshop. She's just amazing inside and out. I've gotten to know Morgan and I absolutely adore her. And she's about to be my neighbor, y'all.
Yes, I have to leave this great closet, guys. So pray for me. Pray
I know
for
she
me.
doesn't know what she's gonna do without that closet. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on today. It
Thank
was
you,
such
Jenna.
my pleasure. It was such a pleasure having this conversation with you. And I love the work you're doing. Thank you so much for what you do to help women and men just
And
be more
ditto. Ditto
Yeah.
to you and your awesome book.
Thank
There's so many
you.
great quotes, and I've been thinking how I can love myself more after reading this book.
Same thing. I've got so many dog ears here. I love it. I love it. Well, we should all be teaching each other, right? That's the beautiful thing, is that as women, I say this all the time, part of being a powerful woman, being in your power, right, is also lifting each other up, right?
Mm,
As
totally.
we grow and we get lifted up, we need to be taking other women with us too. We lift up by lifting other women up as well, and by supporting each other, we can all rise up together, right?
Absolutely. I love it.
Oh, wasn't Morgan just amazing? I love her so much. Don't you want to just hire her right now? If you would like to learn a little bit more about Morgan Whiter and her services, or her book, or just get in touch with her, you can do so at her website, which is morganwhiter.com. That's Morgan Whiter, WIDER.com. If we haven't already connected on social media, I'd love to connect with you. I'm so active on pretty much almost every platform. You'll find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok with my handle at Jenna Banks. I'm on Twitter too. You'll find me at Jenna Banks 411. LinkedIn, just type in my name. Yes, I'm also very active on LinkedIn as well. But I'd also like to encourage you to visit my website, which is jenna-banks.com. There you can sign up for my newsletter, and that way I can keep you posted on everything. But also you can find out information about my new book, which is I Love Me More: How to Find Happiness and Success Through Self-Love. The book is currently sold in hardcover format, audiobook, and ebook format on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, all over the place. But I have links also on my website, which is jenna-banks.com. If you're not already a subscriber to the show, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button now, because I have so much more to share with you in the future about how we can truly live our lives to our fullest potential as fully empowered human beings. You deserve that. Thanks so much for going on this journey with me today. It truly was a pleasure to have you, and I hope to see you again next time.